And you're going to do the...
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in on the class today, the Hugs and Kisses class with Juliet. Juliet, we're really excited for this class. It's 2 double layouts, double spreads. And we've got Jenny Heaslip, myself, and Juliet with you today. Hello, guys. Hello, Juliet.
Good morning. Well, it's good morning from Cape Town. I think, Jenny, it's good evening from you.
Yes, it's good afternoon over here, Dennis.
Afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's lovely to be. I'm super excited, and we're doing this all long distance today, so it's exciting.
It is, and we've the last few classes we've had quite a few people joining us from New Zealand as well. So it's good night to them. So that's quite cool. Yeah, so as I say, we're really excited for this class. Juliet, I know it's been a crazy week for you, moving house. Are you settled in?
Yes, I've just, in fact, moved 2 days ago. I moved on Sunday, so yeah, it's been very, very hectic. Hence the single camera only for now. but yeah, we're settling in, and yeah, I've got to get on with it.
And you've got a big event, don't you? Your annual Women's Day event coming up as well.
Women's Day event coming up in a couple of days, so it's all full force ahead, trying to get everything done and sorted and kits ready and decor and all sorts of things. But yeah, it's a great event. It's exciting. I love Women's Day. We get to share our love of crafting together with a whole bunch of women. So yeah, very exciting.
Nice. And Jenny, you've just come back from, well, since the last class, you've come back from New Zealand.
Yes, we come back from a very successful show at Sens. All the Celebr8 stand was really well received. We sold heaps of product. Encouraged a lot of people to use Celebr8, so that was really great. And since then, Madeline's been over, and we've had some great classes here in Oz, Christmas in July classes. So that went really well. And then we're getting excited for Erin next month. Let's hope she gets it.
So yeah, since the last class, Erin is still stuck in the UK, but it's confirmed she gets back on Saturday morning. Actually, while this class is airing, I'll be missing the first section of it because I've got to go fetch her from the airport. But we're very excited to have her back for 3 weeks before she heads over to Oz.
Shame, so, Dennis. It's been a long stint, eh?
Yeah, what was going to be just under 3 weeks has turned into 6 weeks.
Wow.
So it's been wow. Interesting. And I mean, you know what, you're forced to cope, so we've coped. But I think just like the emotional turmoil that it's taken on the kids, so they're really excited to have mom home again. Yeah, and so Qatar is not our favorite word at the moment, and before this all happened, we even booked the Australian flight with Qatar. So anyway, we'll see how it all goes.
I don't know that Qantas is any more popular with us, Dennis, after our trip home from Africa. So I think all the airlines are doing it really tough at the moment. So
yeah. No, it's quite weird because Erin's obviously booked with Qatar, but she's flying British Airways from London to Doha. So, and that wasn't initially, that wasn't the case. So no. Obviously there is major problems, and all the airlines are kind of working together to try and sort it out.
Oh, well, at least we have scrapbooking to keep us going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My son's just come back from Singapore. And the airports were absolute chaos. I mean, both times when I dropped him off and fetched him, I can't believe how busy the airports have been. So, yeah, I think it's been a very busy season, hence all the flight delays and cancellations and things like that. It's been crazy.
Yeah. Juliet,
yes.
Don't you want to show us your 2 layouts that you're going to be teaching?
Sure, let's do that. Okay, so obviously we are excuse me, obviously we're going to work with this, absolutely I think this is one of my all-time favorite Celebr8 collections. It's just adorable. It just leaves you feeling happy in all the right places. It's just so cute. So we're going to be working with Hugs and Kisses, and this is the contents of the bulk pack. that has everything in that you need to complete the 2 layouts, and then some. There's always some extras that you can make cards or tags or whatever, even perhaps another single or 2 layouts with. So let me show you the projects that we're going to be doing.
I must tell you, Juliet, I think you've inspired a lot of people to do more tags from the last class we did.
I do love my tags. Right, so what I did with this particular bulk pack is I actually split it a little bit. I'm sure you'll see, I'll move the other one into screen shortly. I actually sort of split it into color schemes. So, I mean, all the colors work well together, but I call this the pink layout and this the blue layout. So this one has got a little bit more of the oranges and the tans combined with the grays and charcoals. I mean, just look at these little animals. They are so adorable. So that's the first one.
Very nice.
Yeah, very clever.
What I call the blue one. It's just absolutely adorable. Love, love, love every little image. Love the florals with it. So yeah, if you are doing specific, I mean, I don't think these papers are specifically for baby or small children. I actually think they can be used for many, many, many different themes. Would be lovely for pet photos, even just happy photos of you with your loved ones. But if you are doing specific photos for babies or small children, and you either have a boy or a girl and not both, you can really just mix the colors together, because it's so unisex, it's so universal, that even the pinks are not specific pinks. It's a very dusty pink, shades of orange, the charcoal. So it really does work both ways. Yeah, if I'm allowed to, Dennis, I actually made a little mini album with this collection as well. So I'll show that as well.
Yes, please. Yes,
should I show now quickly before we get into the nitty gritty?
Very
That'd
clever.
be great.
When I say a mini album, it's actually quite a maxi album because it's quite big. So this is how much I love the collection. I made not only the 2 double layouts, but I made this mini album too.
That is so cool. I love how you've colored the chipboard there.
Yes, a little ombre, a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink, some purpley shades. I just added one other piece of paper because this album uses so much paper that I had in my stash. It's got a little acetate pocket or acetate window here.
Very cute.
Tags, Dennis. Do love my tags. And I mean, look at these little images. They are so cute. So yeah, just little touches here and there. But this paper is just absolutely gorgeous.
You've done a great job. It's amazing. I love it.
I did add little touches of, I'm sure you can see, like a rose gold glitter paper, which just made it, you can see, it just made it stand out. It's
beautiful.
Such a pretty color with it. So yeah, all the little bits and pieces.
Yes.
All the journal cards. I think I used, I don't think there are even leftovers. I used every little scrap of paper and every little cutout and another tag.
Juliet, I must say, I quite enjoy the way you quite often do that off-center layering. Like you did it with the hedgehogs there.
Oh, yes.
It's quite...
Yeah, I think sometimes if you put things in the center, obviously you want to put a photo of something behind it that you can see. So I like to put them on the side, that it just gives you whatever you're matting or putting underneath, that you see the most of it.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's my little mini album. That's not what we're doing today. But it is using the same paper frame. Oh, next time.
Hours.
Next time.
Surely we could do it.
Oh, that's probably about a 12-hour class.
Okay.
I
completely understand that.
All right, are we ready to go?
Yeah. So, Julie, if I can just mention again that obviously this class was pre-recorded. We will be here to answer sort of any questions that you have, and we'll be following the class as it goes live on Saturday. But because it's pre-recorded, you're welcome to pause it at any time to catch up if you're not following. That's not a problem at all. if you're watching this on YouTube, you just tap your space bar, which pauses, and you tap your space bar again, and it'll play again. So enjoy the class, Juliet. We're quite excited for this, and Jenny and I will mute ourselves so the camera stays on you. But thank you for doing this class for us.
Great, you're welcome.
Cool.
Okay. Right, so as I said, we are using this bulk pack, and I think what we're going to do is, I think I did this in the last class too, we're going to get all of the cutting out of the way. We're going to cut for both layouts now, so that we don't lose track of the names of the papers. So let's just open this up. Okay, so what I'm going to show you first is the 4 sheets. There are 4 that you need to put aside to do your fussy cutting with. And hopefully most of you will have done your fussy cutting by now, which will just make things go a little bit faster. So, right, so on this cover sheet, this one we're going to put aside. We're going to fussy cut this whole sheet. Just remember to keep all your barcode strips, all your little border strips, because we are going to use quite a few of them on the layouts. So that sheet we're going to fussy cut, and then we're going to go right to the back. And we're going to go to 7707, which is Cherish. They're not quite for fussy cutting, but these 2, we are going to cut out all the blocks, but we will get to that just now. This one, as gorgeous as it is, unfortunately, we are using that side. So, yeah, Dennis, I'm not sure if it is public knowledge, but Celebr8 do sometimes have something called an expansion pack, which is an extra set of papers of all the fussy cut sheets. So maybe inquire at your local retailer if you want to get your hands on an expansion pack, because then you can use both sides of this paper. All the other papers in the pack, you get 2 of each. So then you can use both sides. But these specific ones, there's only 1 in the bulk pack. So you have to pick a side. In this case, we are cutting out these frames. We don't need this pink one, but we are using the gray, the blue, and the inside gray one as well. So that's a fussy cut sheet. This sheet also, you can use your circle punches or cut by hand. We're going to cut out all the circles, all of those blocks, and we're going to use a few of these word strips as well. And then this one, I love these wreaths so much, but they are quite a problem to cut for a lot of people. But just go for it. You won't regret it, because it is worth it. You can see how we've used it over here. So you do need to cut that whole wreath out, and we're going to raise it with foam tape.
Juliet, have a look here.
Dennis, I am so impressed with you. Very, very impressed. Okay.
Dennis, show us your frames though, mate.
Show us your circles if you don't have a circle punch. Okay, so these are the 4 sheets. We're going to put those aside because those are all for fussy cutting. I have prepared all my little fussy cutting bits, and I've separated them into each class. So those are the ones that we're going to use, but I will show you that when we get to it just now. Okay, for now, you can just put these packs aside, and we're going to get straight into the meat, which is the cutting of all these papers. And I'm going to take you through it step by step. So what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you which page we're going to use, and we are going to cut for both layouts now. So I'm going to, for purposes of this class, call it the pink layout and the blue layout, so that you know which pile to put it in. Okay, so just make a pile, perhaps 1 to your left, 1 to your right of your cuttings. Then all the cutting is done for both classes. Okay, right, so we're going to start with each page in number order. This is 7701, it's called Hug, and we are going to use that border strip, the scallop border strip, so you can go ahead and cut that off. And we're going to use this on the pink layout. I'm putting all the pink ones to my left, and I'm going to put the blue to my right. Okay, then this particular page, we're going to use the whole page as is, as our background sheet. Okay, so we're going to put that to that side. You don't need to cut that anymore. Right, then we're going to use the second sheet, also of 7701, exactly the same. And we're just going to cut off our border strip. Put that aside, we won't need that. And we're going to use the whole page again as our background. So these two are going to form the background for our one layout. Okay, on to the next sheet. This is 7702. It's called Kiss. And we're going to cut a piece from the floral side. Sorry. I've just got the wrong size here. Just 1 second. Okay. We're going to cut a piece, cut our border strip off. Put that aside, we're not going to use that now. And we're going to cut a piece from the side with the bunny images on the top left. We're going to cut this 25.5 centimeters wide by 20.5 centimeters high. Oops, sorry. Okay, 25.5 width. And we're going to turn it that way and cut 20.5 the height. Okay, so that's our size for this piece. This is for the blue layout, 25.5 wide by 20.5 the height. That's going to go on that side. Then our second sheet of 7702 Kiss. This time we're going to use the reverse side with the two bunnies on the bottom right. We're going to cut off our border strip. Now this is the part that we want to cut from. So we're going to cut the width and turn it upside down. Again, 25.5 our width. And 20.5 our height. Okay, so exactly the same as the previous piece. $25.5 width, 20.5 the height. And that is for the blue layout. Okay, so the next piece we're going to go to is number 3. This one with
Juliet, just a quick one. Are the off-cut pieces off-cuts, or do they stay with the blue pile?
That you can leave all the rest as off-cuts.
Off-cuts, cool, thank you.
Yeah, we're not going to use any of those off-cuts on the layouts. Okay, so this next piece is called Love, number 3. We're going to cut off our border strip. Okay, we're going to be using the floral side now. And we're going to cut 27 centimeters wide. By 25 the height. From the floral side. So that is our measurement. 27 wide, 25 is the height. This is going to be for the pink layout. So we're going to put that on that pile. You can put the offcuts away. Okay, then our second sheet. This time we're going to use the heart side. And we're going to cut a piece. We can cut off our border strip. Put that aside. Okay, with our hearts facing up, we're going to cut from the left side 20 centimeters. We're going to leave our height exactly the same. So our page is 20 centimeters wide by 30.5 centimeters the height. And this is again for the pink layout. And you can put that side. You can put the offcut away. Okay, the next sheet is number 4, 7704. It's called Embrace. It's got this beautiful pastel wood grain on the one side, and I don't even know, we're like a pink wash and a blue wash on the other side. We're going to be using the wood grain side now. And we're going to cut a piece. Let's just cut our border strip off first. Right, so we're going to cut a piece 5 centimeters. In fact, we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 5 centimeters wide. So I'm just going to cut on 10. And we're going to cut them the height of 20.5. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut that in half. So we're going to have 2 pieces of 5 centimeters by 20.5. 2 pieces like that. These are both for the blue layout. Okay. Right, so now we're going to cut some photo mats out of this wood grain piece as well. We need 4 pieces that are 7.5 by 7.5. Doesn't really matter which side you cut it from. Going to cut, in fact, I'm going to move this up a little bit because I specifically want these greeny shades in it. That. I'm going to cut 7.5. I like to just trim a little bit off so that the wood is even. Seven and a half, and we're going to cut 2 widths of 7.5 as well. So we've got 2. We're going to cut another 2 of those. Okay, so we've got 4 blocks that are all 7.5 by 7.5. And those 4 are going to go with the blue layout. Right, then we've got some more pieces to cut. we're going to use our second sheet. Cut our border strip off. Okay, so for these pieces we're going to cut now, we're going to use this side with the pink and blue. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to cut this in half so that I have my pink side and my blue side separate. It's going to make it easier to work with. Okay, let's start with the blue side. We're going to cut a piece 11.5 wide by 14.5 high. This is going to be one of our photo mats. So 14.5 being the height. I'm going to cut it from this side because I want these hearts and the script to show. 11.5 by 14.5. From the blue side, this is going to go on the blue layout. Then the next piece we're going to cut. Just need a small piece from here, 8. By 9.5. Sorry, it's 8 by 9. Here we go. Small piece of the blue, 8 by 9. And that's going to go with the blue layout. Okay, so now we're going to go to our pink piece. And we are going to cut 15 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Okay, so our width should already be 15. So we're going to cut, I'm going to cut from the bottom because I want to see the script part. So we're going to cut 10. And we should be on 15 more or less already. Just cut a little sliver off. And that is for our pink layout, 15 wide by 10 high. Okay, then we need another piece that's basically 15 by 15. We're just cutting a square. And what we're going to do with this piece is once we get to the layout, we are going to cut, we're going to just trim around it. It's going to fit underneath our wreath. So we will be trimming the corners, but we'll do that when we get to it. So that's 15 by 15, and that's going with the pink layout. Okay, then all of these offcuts you can put away. We don't need these anymore. The next sheet we're going to is number 5. It's called Cuddle. And I absolutely love these texts. I actually took a little bit of time and read all the lines on here. It's so beautiful. Such lovely words. So before you cut it up, maybe read it. All right, so let's cut our border strip off. We are going to use both of these gray scalloped border strips on our blue layout. So we're going to cut them off both pages. Both. Okay, so we're going to put those two on the blue side. Right, so now we're going to cut a piece from the text side. And it is 30.5, which is the width of our paper, by 17. Okay, so the height is going to be 17. Okay. There it is. 30.5 by 17, and this is going with the blue layout. Okay, the next piece we need is 30.5 by 13. This is going to be from the dot side. So we're just going to cut a strip 13 centimeters wide. And our width is already 30.5. And that is from the dot side. And that's also going to go with the blue layout. So we're going to put that to the right. Okay, this sheet you can put aside for now. We're not going to use this again. That's an extra. Sorry, I'll take that back. We are using it. Bring out your text sheet. We are going to use this on the pink layout as well. So we need one piece now that is 10 centimeters by 11.5. And we're going to use the text side. Okay, I think what we're going to do is cut the second piece first, the longer one. So turn it to the side. We're going to cut 9.5 centimeters the height. And our width is going to be 30.5. Okay, and that's going to be for the pink layout. And then with the remaining piece, we're going to cut the 10 by 11.5, also from the text side. By 11.5. And this is also for the pink layout. So we're going to put that to the left. Right, these are now offcuts. So we can put those away. And our next sheet is this gorgeous sheet called Squeeze. It's number 6. It has XOXO on the front, Hugs and Kisses, and on the back it's got this sort of frame element. We're going to be using this side. We're going to cut firstly, we're going to cut off that border strip, which we are going to use, the XO Hugs and Kisses, should I say, border strip. And we're going to use this on the blue layout. Okay, now we're going to cut 2 strips from here. We're going to keep our width of 30.5 or 12 inches wide, and we're going to cut the height to 10 centimeters. We need 2 of them. So I'm going to cut it at 20. Offcut we can put away. And again at 10. There's our 2 pieces that are 30.5 by 10. Both of these pieces are for the blue layout. Okay. The second piece we're not going to use, so you can put that aside. Now we're going to go on to our block pieces. We've done most of the measuring cutting, so these is really just cutting out the blocks that we're going to use. So let's start with sheet number 7. It's called Cherish, and it is just absolutely beautiful. Look at these gorgeous blocks and these images. I just love it. All right, so let's cut our border strip off. I'm just going to close this blind because I see the sun is finally rising in Cape Town. It's taken its time this morning. Okay. Okay, so we are going to use on this particular sheet, we're going to use this blue quote block, 10 by 15. So You don't really need to measure. You can just cut along the white lines because the block is already sized. And that's the piece that we're going to use for the blue layout. Right, so these we can put aside. We're not going to use them now. And on to our next sheet, which is number 8. It's called Hold. And again, we're going to cut off our border strip. We're going to use this border strip, or the quote strip, should I say. Okay, we're going to use that on the blue layout. And now we're going to use this gray block. This is for the blue layout as well, and the size is 20 by 15. Again, you can just cut along the white lines and your piece will be sized. Okay, so we're going to use that block. I have cut it a little bit smaller. So we need it to be 12 by 15. So we're just going to trim that a little bit. Okay, so 15 is already our height. So we just need it 12 centimeters wide. That's our size. Sorry, little guys. You can maybe still fussy cut that if you like. 12 by 15. And this is for the blue layout. That side. Right. Now we're going to go back to the pieces. We're going to use this quote on the pink layout. The size will be 10 by 15. So that's going to go on the pink layout side. And then we're also going to use these two pieces that have already been cut, but we're going to use that side with a sort of pinky peachy wash. So both of those are already the right size. They are 10 by 7.5, but you would have already cut them off. So they are the perfect size. And that is also for the pink layout. Okay, so that's the last of this sheet. Those are offcuts. We are going to use this little, is it that one that I used? Yes, we are going to use that. So you can actually cut this now. You can just cut the tab off like that. And then you can still save this to use in another project, because the only piece we need now is that little strip. And that's going to be for the blue layout. Okay, so we're on the home stretch with the cutting. In fact, I think we're done with the cutting, because all we have left now is our fussy cutting sheets, and those we already have put aside to fussy cut. So that is all the cutting that we need. We might just need 1 or 2 quote border strips. We'll just have a look. No, I think we're good to go. Right. So that's all our cutting done.
Yay. Thanks, Juliet.
Is everybody on track with that? I think so.
Yep.
I'm all done, so we're ready to go.
Great. Okay. So let's start. Let's start with the blue layout, shall we? Okay, so again, this is the project we're going to be doing. Okay, now because I like to create lots of backgrounds, with the pink one, we're literally using 2 of the full sheets as the background. This one, we're taking a whole lot of pieces and we're layering and we're making our own background. So I like to just mount it on a piece of cardstock. I've used a craft. You can use a white, any plain cardstock. It just makes it easier to put the layout together. If you don't want to use cardstock, You can tape all your pieces together. You just need to obviously keep a ruler handy and make sure, or use your cutting mats grid, and make sure that you don't exceed the actual size of the page, which is a 12 by 12 or 30.5 square. So the easiest really is just to have 2 sheets of cardstock that you can adhere your papers onto. So I'm just going to use 2 plain white, cheap, smooth cardstocks. As I say, you can really use any color. It's not actually going to show. Okay. So that's going to be my background. And then all the pieces that we cut, we're going to adhere onto this background to create the background. Right. So the pieces we're going to use first, let's just take those out. Yes. We're going to need to cut these 2 strips out. So let's tackle that. If you want to take out your fussy cut scissors, and let's cut these. If anyone's got any questions, or Dennis, any questions while we're busy cutting this out, then we can take a few minutes to do that. If you don't like cutting scallop border strips, well, I guess you could cut it a straight edge, but that's up to you.
Juliet, Dennis has assured me that he's not putting scallop strips on any of the papers anymore.
Oh, well, Dennis, I want to see, let's let Dennis hold up. Let's see that he's going to be fussy cutting these, and maybe when he does them a lot, then he'll stop using so many of them.
So I fussy cut everything from this collection except these border strips. I was like, no ways am I doing that. And I was like, I'm sure Juliet won't use them. But now you have, so now I have to.
I do love, we all love scallops, but they aren't always fun to cut out. I must be honest, I do all my fussy cutting with a little white border. I don't cut it straight on the image. I just find it a little bit easier. It's really personal choice. Some people like to precise cut on the actual image. But for me, these little black, you know, the lines that are come around the fussy cut sheet, if you cut just inside that black line, you get a nice little edge, and it also hides if you've cut wrong. As most of you know, I like to sand the edges or ink the edges, depending on the project, of all my pieces. So by leaving this little white border on it, you can, it looks like it's been sanded in, and then it matches the edges of all the other papers. I just think it's easier to cut with a little bit of an extra piece.
It does look good. I tend to do the same thing. I like to leave that edge.
Yeah, it's almost like a little matting for each piece.
Yeah, definitely. Looks very good. And we're only just kidding, Mr. B. We would like you to keep the scallop borders, thanks.
We do. We love them. We don't love cutting them out, but we love using them.
We do love using them. I'll agree.
So I might be silent now, and that's purely because I'm a male and I can't multitask. So I'm trying to cut scallops. Yeah, I can't talk as well.
Oh dear.
Dennis, show us the scissors that you're trying to fussy cut with, though. How big?
No, I actually went to, no, I had big scissors, which I cut everything with. And then I decided, no, I'm going to go and borrow a pair from, where's my camera? So I've borrowed this pair, but I can't say they're any easier. I don't know. Erin's going to have to give me a crash course on this, but this is not fun.
Everyone has a different comfort when it comes to scissors. Personally, I like a really small, sharp. Your fussy cut scissors needs to have, I'm using a little Tim Holtz, I think it's his embroidery scissors. It's got a very, very sharp point. I personally do not like the serrated edge scissors. I know a lot of people use them. They've got lovely big handles for your fingers, but I don't like that sort of serrated edge that comes with it. So I like a very clean, precise cut. I actually normally use a very cheap and nasty. I'll show you the one I normally use. A little embroidery scissors that you can probably buy, I mean, at your local scrapbook shop or a hardware store. I normally use this one. I'm just using this today because mine is actually quite blunt. But these I have probably in every pencil case, in every drawer in my house. I have them all over my shop. I have them everywhere because they are just, I love them. They're the best. But
And when you say they're cheap, what do those retail for, Juliet, in your store?
About 50 or 60 rand.
Okay.
So they're cheap enough to have several. This, on the other hand, is a couple of £100. So this is an expensive scissors, but it is nice. It's got a lovely comfort feel around your fingers. The key is that your blades need to be thin and very, very sharp pointed for fussy cutting. Otherwise, you can't get into those little corners and into the grooves. So the smaller the blades, or what do you call I guess the blades of the scissors, the better.
Before the Aussies and New Zealanders think we're multi-millionaires here, like our currency is not very strong. So 50 rand is not $50.
No. And 50 rand is still a lot of money. It's just in context of scrapbooking tools, 50 rand is cheap.
So what's that, Jenny? That's about $5, eh? $5.
Yes, it is, but actually it's even less at the moment. I think the last conversion that I did, it
11
was
and a half. Yeah.
Less than 10 to 1. So, but still, you know, that's a reasonably priced pair of scissors. So
Yeah,
I use my Cutter-P's, these ones.
Yes, I have those too.
Yeah, and I think this is like my second or third pair. Yeah. One got like a point, the tip, I don't know how it happened, but the tip got bent. So they are my like foam tape scissors because they get very sticky. But I do have a good pair that I use all the time.
Yeah, so I've got those too. I mean, it's the Couture Creations now. But these work, the Teflon blades work lovely for cutting your tape. They do get a little bit sticky, but they clean easier than the normal, you know, steel tip scissors.
Yep.
So, you know, fussy cutting is such a huge thing at the moment, and I think it's just the way the scrapbooking industry has changed. We don't get tons of expensive embellishment packs. Many of the manufacturers around the world don't produce die cut packs and things like that anymore, you know, that we used to have many years ago. So the trend is now to put your images on the paper and cut it out, and it does make it a lot more affordable, but it is tricky for a lot of people. I know a lot of my customers moan the eyesight, the hands, you know, it is a little bit it's not easy for everyone to do. And I always say fussy cutting, you either love it or you hate it. I personally love it. I find it very therapeutic. I will sit in front of the TV and cut out all my bits and pieces. So
that is my favorite thing to do at night time. I feel quite lost if I don't have something to sit there and fussy cut while I'm watching TV.
Yes, I'm exactly the same.
I'm just gonna be honest and tell you I'm team hated.
And you give us like 5 of the sheets to cut out, Dennis, but everybody does love that. But
listen, I must tell you, can I tell you something quickly while we're cutting? So Jenny, you were there, but we did a class, when we went around the country, and we were at a class in Germiston in Joburg, and this one table, the lady calls me over and she's like, we need more fussy cutting sheets.
Oh my goodness.
We need double, like 2 of each. Anyway, the whole table's like agreeing with her. And then the lady gets up and walks away. And while she was gone, the rest of the lady at the table, they're like, no, we don't. So they were agreeing with her to her face. But then once she left, they're like,
shame.
No, don't put more.
It definitely probably just got to do with the fact that it's all got to be cut out. So I'm also just cutting this little one while we're doing it. We're going to use this as a tab. So I've just cut that at the same time. And then I think that is all that we need to cut.
I'm almost done, Juliet.
Almost done. Just let me know when you're done.
I will do.
Yeah, I might be a little bit longer. I've done one and I'm about halfway through the other.
Okay.
We'll give you a little more time, Dennis, remedial class.
The problem is I'm actually a little bit of if you're going to do it, you must do it properly.
You must do it properly.
This doesn't look nice. My skill level is not at the desired level yet. So I don't know. I tend to cut all my cuts one way so it looks really weird, and then turn the paper and cut all the other way. So I'm just left with lots of triangles.
So let me give you a little tip. I don't know if it's too late. You've already cut one. The key to fussy cutting is actually not to move your scissors. It's actually more to move your paper.
Your paper, okay.
Yes. Keep your scissors, like, I mean, I've cut this already, but keep your scissors pretty much constant and try and move your paper. But the movement is in your wrist as well. It's not your fingers. I don't know if you're understanding that very well.
Yeah,
but
no,
that's what I find. I find it's easier if your scissors is, don't keep your paper and try and move your scissors around. That is more difficult. Try and wiggle the paper around the scissors. If your scissors is sharp enough, it should work.
Awesome. Hey, Jenny.
That's the way I do it.
Jenny, I'm done. I'm done. Oh. You're still busy.
Excuse me. Have you done this? Have you done this?
Yes, because I did all of that fussy cutting before the class.
Ah, cheat.
I finished 5 minutes ago. I was only trying to make you feel good.
I don't believe you.
We finished arguing. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on? Okay, the next part is also something that you either love or you hate. Personally, I love it, but those of you who've done or who've done my classes or purchased notes from me or done kits, you'll see that I always talk about sanding. I love sanding the edges, even on light papers. If I can just show you those who are maybe doing it for the first time, you'll see this little white border all around, which is why I said if you leave a little border around your fussy cuts, then it matches. So I like to sand, you can see over there, I like to sand the edges of my paper. If you prefer to ink the paper, you're absolutely welcome to do that. You can choose any ink. I'd probably recommend a lightish, creamy brown sort of color for this, or a gray, but you can do whatever floats your boat. You do you. If you prefer your pages inked, you can do that. I'm going to sand the edges of my paper. Now, this is a little bit of a messy job, but it's best also just to sand everything, get it out the way, and then we can clear the dust and we can carry on sticking everything down. So I'm going to show you the pieces that we're going to prepare now for sanding. It's pretty much all of them. So these are our mats. You don't need to do this piece, but those three. And then these four are our little photo mats. Those need to be sanded all the way around. Okay, but before you do that, I want to just lay everything out on the layout so you can see which edges not to sand. These two pieces are going to form the bottom of our page. So when we sand, we're not going to sand in the middle here, and we don't need to sand the top because we're going to have ribbon borders and things like that over it. So we don't need to waste energy doing that. We are going to sand basically the edges that are the outside edges. So we're going to sand there and there along the bottom and the right. And the same for the top pieces. Those two are going to go like that. We're actually only going to sand there and there. We are not going to do the middle. And I always do along the top, but that can also be done after you've stuck everything down. You can just go around the edges of your page. So it's not actually even necessary to do it in advance if you don't want to. And then we've got our two wood grain strips that, again, we don't need to do here. We're going to be tucking scallops underneath. So we only need to do the outside edges. Okay. And then along with our photo mats. So those are the pieces we're going to sand now. And I'm going to show you what I do. It's going to be a little difficult off the screen, but I'm just going to sort of show you in the air. This is the best tool to use, a little sanding block. You can also use a nail file, an emery board, a small little piece of low grit sandpaper. We don't want it too distressed unless that's the look that you like. And these little sanding blocks, they're just super comfortable to use and they actually last quite long. Right, so what I do, I actually sand mine on the edge of my cutting mat. I normally just push it to the end of the table, that the cutting mat just goes a little bit off the edge, and I put my paper right on the edge of it. I'm just going to demonstrate with a small one for now. So you'll literally line your paper up with the edge of your cutting mat. You can do it flat. It's best to not sand in the air like this because your paper can get bent. But you can also do it that way if you prefer. This is just the way I like to do it. Put it on the edge of your cutting mat. As I say, I'll put it just off the edge of the table that I'm working on and sand actually on the cutting mat. So it keeps the paper firm like that. So obviously I'm doing this in the air, so it's a little bit more tricky. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and do the sanding on these little bits. There'll be some nice scraping noises in the background. And sorry, these two pieces you also need to do. We're going to do all around both of those pieces. So it's just these. That's just going to be the visible edges here and all the way around that we're going to do. Okay, so you can go ahead and get all of that sanding. As I say, if you prefer to ink, you can do that. Whatever suits you better.
Jenny, you say inking or chalking the edges is not that big in Australia, eh?
It is. It's just not something I do.
Oh, it's not what you do.
Yeah. So I'm not everybody. Lots of people that come to my classes, they like to ink the edges. So I think it's a personal choice thing, like Juliet said. Yeah, some people like to do it, some don't. So, yep.
That's definitely a personal choice. It's each to their own.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Some people feel like it's not finished until, you know, the edges are inked. So, yeah.
Dennis, are you inking? I mean, are you sanding or are you skipping?
So, to be honest with you, I actually really like the sanding. I'm not a big fan of the inking, but I don't have a sanding block. I just discovered because Erin took a whole lot of stuff with her for the show. So I just found an ink. It's the wrong color, but at least it's practice. So I'm inking.
No, Dennis, you can't ink in the wrong color.
Well, it's not wrong. It's just, it's like the orange that's in the collection.
Dennis, I'm not convinced.
Please don't.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
it's too late. I'm already doing it.
You know, if you find a piece of sandpaper or one of Erin's nail files, you can sand that ink off. I'm not sure an orange, but okay, you do you. But the inking definitely goes quicker.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Just saying.
You're making more noise inking than we are sanding.
Oh yes, forgot the marks on. Sorry.
I was thinking the same thing. I just chose not to say it. I was like, that's really noisy inking.
I don't know how to do it softly. Wait, I'll mute myself.
Got him scared now, Juliet.
Yeah.
So where have you moved far away from where you
No,
were?
I'm still in Durbanville.
Yeah.
It's just one part of Durbanville to another part of Durbanville.
Okay.
But,
so still close to the shop?
Yeah, it's actually a little closer.
Right.
Not that I was far away before. I'm fortunate to live very close by, but it's now even closer.
Oh,
So
that's
quite convenient.
Okay, that's very good.
But
I'll have to come and visit your shop again.
Yes. We love
Lovely.
that. But I'm not going to lie, we have a saying in South Africa, it's not for sissies. Moving is not for sissies. It's so, it doesn't matter how prepared you think you are, it's all those little bits and pieces at the end. And then, once you get here, it's finding everything and things just stay in boxes, and then you look for something and you don't know where it is, and oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand being there, not for a long time, but when we were younger, we moved quite a bit. And yeah, I don't know that I could even pack up all my scrapbooking stuff now and move.
Yeah, well, that was also part of the problem. You know, I do have a shop, but I have just as much at home. And there are just crates and boxes of, I mean, eventually I just don't, you know, I'm quite, I'm a little OCD. So everything needed to be labeled properly. And I printed sort of labels with the same font and the same text and for all of the boxes. And yes, I'm my own worst enemy. But eventually, you know, and then I tried to sort of label what was in the boxes, and eventually I was just calling it stuff, because there was so much stuff, I didn't even know what to call it anymore.
As long as stuff was in the right font, doesn't matter.
It was all in the right, same font, same text size, all of that stuff, Dennis, don't worry. Oh, all the OCD people will be proud. But then, of course, those last 5 or 10 boxes on the day of the move is just like a black coat scribbled on it because.
Well done.
Right, how's everybody doing with the sanding or the inking in Dennis's case? There's 2 little border strips here as well. I'm just going to sand them a little bit as well, top and bottom. But that is also why it's easier to do it on a mat, because these are quite difficult to do in the air. So I'm sorry I'm doing this off screen, but I'm sure by the noises you can hear what's happening. It's handy to keep a little dust brush or something on your desk when you're finished with this, because it does create quite a little bit of dust. Mine, of course, is in a box marked stuff somewhere.
The last time you were here, you had those little like alcohol swab things.
Yes, I have. Don't worry, I have those here.
Do you have that?
I'm going to use them now. I was getting to that tip. These little alcohol wipes that you can get from a Dis-Chem or basically any local pharmacy are just the best for cleaning up your workspace. So they're also great for cleaning if you get glue on your scissors. I mean, I literally just wipe my mats and everything like that with them, and everything just disappears.
Very cool.
Also, if you get any, you know, stuff from your tape and that on your scissors, you just wipe them and it actually takes all the glue and the sticky stuff off your scissors as well. The best is to do it periodically. If you leave it, then the tape gets hard and sort of really clogged on your scissors. But if you do it sort of every time you just finish a page, then your scissors can stay nice and clean with these little alcohol swabs. So they're very, very cheap and very handy to keep around.
These border strips are a bit tricky to sand.
They are.
I'm making a big mess.
Okay, so I'm going to just give you all sort of another minute or so to get that out of the way. Clean my workspace.
Juliet, talking about alcohol, in Australia, they have drive-through alcohol stores, bottle stores.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, no, like we were the same when we saw it. Like, so that not encourage drinking and driving.
You don't buy it opened, you buy it in a carton and you take it home.
But do you trust yourself not to open the drink in the car for your general population?
It's just the convenience of not having to get out of your car to do it.
Exactly. I don't find like it strange at all.
We're not even allowed to sell alcohol in supermarkets. You can sell wine.
Say, Jenny, that's because you don't live in South Africa. We have a bit of an alcohol problem in this country.
Juliet.
Not me.
No, listen. There are more alcohol stores in Australia than there are like clicks in South Africa.
Really? All right, I take that back then.
I think they have their own problem that side.
We don't, in Queensland, we don't sell alcohol in the supermarket.
I don't.
You've got a bottle shop next door to the supermarket, but you just can't buy it in the supermarket. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got your drive-through in the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. And in the other states, like in New South Wales and Victoria, I think they can buy it in the supermarket though.
Okay.
How did we get to alcohol? Come on.
Juliet, alcohol wipes.
Alcohol wipes.
All standard, Juliet.
Right. So shall we move on? We're going to start sticking down.
Sounds good.
Good.
Right. So I personally like to use a double-sided tape for paper. If you are a liquid glue user, you can use whatever works for you. As I say, personally, I don't love liquid glue on paper. I use this for all the other little bits, you know, the cutouts and fussy cuts and things like that. But I'm a tape girl, so I'm going to go ahead and tape. We can stick these pieces as I've laid them out here. Don't stick these two yet, but you can, let's take them out of the frame. You can basically stick those 4 pieces on your background page. As I say, if you are not working on a background page and you are going to join your pieces at the back, you need to turn them upside down, put tape, but just make sure you keep your measurements the correct size. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick these 2 bottom strips down. I like to use a lot of tape as well. Make sure that I don't skimp on tape. I like to make sure that if it's stuck, it's properly stuck. The easiest thing is just to use a little piercer or a needle to peel the tape back. And we can go ahead and stick that on our background sheet. Now, sometimes there's a little millimeter or 2 difference. I like to keep my outside edges the same. Can always trim a little bit in the middle or trim a little bit on the outside, either way. When you are cutting and layering pieces for your background, you often get a millimeter or 2's difference. Very easy to just slice off if you've got a good guillotine or even a craft knife and a ruler. I'm just going to line these up nicely. Okay. What is the most common in Australia, Jenny? Is it also tape, or do people prefer liquid glue?
The majority of people, I think, use tape.
Okay.
That I've seen. Although, having said that, a few people do use glue. This whole centimeter thing is, I'm not used to it, so I've got a few gaps here.
Well, to be honest, I also work in inches. I only work in inches because our papers are, you know, the scrapbook size. It's just so much easier. But I convert everything to centimeters on my notes.
Okay.
But I always actually cut in inches because it's just easier for me. But again, that's personal choice. That's each to their own.
Oh, well, it's all good.
I just like the fact that Jenny's battling a bit because she definitely makes other people battle when she uses her measurement of choice. Suffer, Jenny, suffer.
Okay, I will remember that.
Don't worry
Jenny,
about the gap.
Jenny, do you want to laugh? So the last class that we did, you and I, the online one, obviously I decided last minute, okay, I'm going to do this class because otherwise I've got to sit here for 4 hours. So I did it. And obviously that was in inches. So the first time I've ever done any of this was now in inches. And so now today, when Juliet's gone to centimeters, I'm like a bit lost because I'm actually used to it now in inches.
Yeah, well, it's once you learn the concept of inches, it becomes easy once you get your mind around it. But for a lot of people, it's challenging because it's not what we know. You know, it's not what we use in daily life.
No.
Okay, so these two pieces as well, we're going to stick down, but I want you to, I'm going to show you, I want you to not put your tape, not peel the tape off on those two sides, because we're going to still tuck our little border strips underneath. And I like to have my paper in place to see where the border strip's going to go first, because they are quite thin, so it's difficult to put tape on here and stick it to there. So we're going to put all the tape here, but not peel off that side of tape yet. Just do a piece like that in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this down, leaving that last little piece with the tape still on. Right in the center. Don't worry about any little gaps here and here. Okay, and you can see my tape, my paper is still loose on that side. We're going to do the same for the other side. Okay, so same thing here. Tape is loose there. Okay, if you've got any small little gaps here, you can see my little XO paper just goes slightly over the middle. And that sometimes is just about where we cut off border strips and things like that. I'm just going to use a little finger craft knife and just cut that off. Same on this side. You can also just do this in the guillotine. Right. So that's our background as we've currently got it. Now we're going to take our two border strips, the gray ones that we've cut. We obviously need to trim these. So, I mean, you can actually start it from the bottom and just trim it from the top. So I'm going to put a thin piece of tape. In fact, it's probably easier to use glue for this. And let's move this into the frame. Let me move this out the way, actually. Okay, and we're going to just tuck it just underneath, that you hide the bottom of the border strip. Stick that down, and once we've got it in place, you can peel off this piece of tape. And your border strip is then stuck down. If you don't measure it before, you can literally just take it now and chop it off. And I will use my sanding block to just make it look like the rest. And that's the best way to get your border strip underneath, nice and straight, and not have any gaps. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. Using a Tombow here, it does give you a little bit of maneuverability to get it in straight. There we go. trim off the top. Okay. Okay, we're going to need our guillotines just for 1 or 2 more cuts. These pieces we're going to put over the center of our pages, and we're going to need to cut them there. So you can do this one of 2 ways. Like we can measure it and you can cut it before, or you can put your 2 pages together. You can stick it down and then cut it through afterwards. That really is personal choice. I prefer to just cut my pieces before and then line them up. Okay. So this piece we're going to cut. You have sanded it already. Left side. The text side, we're going to cut 15.5 from the left. Doesn't need to be exact. We've got our 2 pieces, and the dots piece, we're going to cut 14 centimeters from the left. I'll just repeat that. The text pieces, we're just cutting it 15.5 from the left side. So we've got our 2 pieces to go over both pages, and the dots we're cutting 14 centimeters. Right, we're going to put tape on all of these pieces now. Just make sure you got them the right side because it looks confusing because they're both the same. So just flip them over. And we're just going to prep these. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. So this one, we just want to leave a little bit of a border at the top of the page, roughly 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter, and stick it down. Doesn't matter if your measurements are different from left to right, but we do want to make sure that they line up next to each other. So just push your pages nicely together, line up your text, and stick down the other side. And we're going to do exactly the same with the 2 dots pieces. They're going to go here. It's going to go slightly off the edge, roughly 2 lines of text. We're going to stick it just above that. I personally don't like measuring things. I often just eyeball it, but I do add measurements in the notes because I know people like to, some people like to have it perfect. But I often just say, just do what looks right to your eye. And we're just going to line it up again. And stick that down. Okay. So that's now the basis for, now my mat's gone all skew here. That's now the basis for our background. And we're now going to take our embellishment pack. And it's got these gorgeous blue and pink stitched ribbons. We're going to use the blue ribbon on this page. Okay, so we're going to stick a piece of ribbon basically just over there. We're going to have a border strip above it. So the easiest is to stick the ribbon first. In fact, it's not. It's going to be easier to stick the border strip first, then we can make sure we stick our ribbon straight. So I'm going to put tape on the back of my, or glue, whichever works for you. We're going to do the quote on the one side and the XO on the other side. Okay, so if you look at your page here, this top line doesn't matter if you've got it halfway, it's just more or less we are going to put this piece of ribbon basically just over that. Okay, so you can just place your ribbon for now without sticking it down. And what we want is the border strip just to cover the join between those two pages. You will have to trim it a little bit on both sides. Okay, and the same with the other side. Just make sure it doesn't say ox. Make sure you put your border strip the right way. Trust me, I've done that before. And then just line that one up as well. You can basically use the paper as your guide to make sure that it's straight. Okay. I'm going to just trim border strips a bit long. And again, I'm going to neaten it up with my sanding block. Okay, now the easiest way to stick ribbon down is definitely with a tape. I wouldn't advise using any liquid glue because it often seeps through. So the easiest way is to actually put your tape on the paper. Don't put it on the ribbon because it often then makes the ribbon buckle. So I'm going to use a smaller tape. You just grab my 10 mil. This is a 12 mil tape. So I'm going to use this as a red tape. It's a lot stronger. Yeah, I'm thinking we might need even the thinner one. Because it's so sticky, we don't want it to stick out. So I'm going to just put a piece of tape like that. This red tape is very, very strong, so it just helps keep the tape down because it's got so much texture. Okay, now there's one or two ways you can do this. We can either cut the tape off at the end. Often it does fray though, so you have to cut it very carefully, or we can actually wrap it around the back and then glue it. I think that's actually what I've done. See, I've actually wrapped the ribbon around the back and I just put a piece of tape over the edge because then I know that my cut edge is not going to fray. You can also take a lighter and just burn the edges slightly, but you don't want to set your page alight, so just do that very carefully. Okay, so I'm going to just do it over the edge and then trim the edges later. Pull the ribbon nice and tight and just drop it onto your tape. There you go. Okay. Get that piece off and sort that out now. I'm going to fold mine over. So I'm just going to put a little piece like that at the back. Okay, got our ribbon border. We're going to line them up. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. How pretty is this blue ribbon? Love it. Okay. And fold it over.
I love that you're using the ribbon, Juliet. It's always hard for me to decide what I want to do with it, so it's good to see another way to use it on the layout.
Yeah, I actually love ribbon, but it is sometimes not difficult to use, but it's not always sure how to use it, but I quite like using it as a border.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah.
And then on the second layout, I just made little bows. That layout just seemed to, so using it in a different way again.
Okay, hopefully you're going to show us how to do that.
Yes. Okay. So that's the point we're at. Is everybody at that point?
I am. Thank you.
Great. Let's move on. Right, so we're going to take out all our mats and our, let's move that up a little bit. Okay, so we've got our 4 frames for the bottom, our 4 mats. This piece we are going to stick to here so that it just has a little bit of a brown, gray, pardon me, frame around it. So we can do that now. Tape that and basically double mat this piece. Just got a little border all the way around. And we are going to stick this to the left page. Okay, now we're going to need our little tab as well. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on this part here. And I'm going to put that tab on the left-hand side. Just make sure there's some script. If you've cut the piece with a script, just make sure that it's in the right direction. See? Just add that tab over here. Okay. We're going to stick this onto the left page. It's about 1/2 centimeter from the right-hand side. More or less like that. Just bring it down a little bit. Okay. And you can stick that down. Okay, the next piece we're going to stick down is this one. Okay, so this one, we want our frame to fit around it. So this one is roughly, and I'm going to just put my ruler here to show you, it's roughly 3 centimeters from the edge of the page. Okay, just so that you're lining it up on the left side. Again, we just want a little bit of that to show at the top. Doesn't have to be exact. And you can stick that piece down. Okay, roughly 3 centimeters, give or take a few millimeters. Right, how are we doing? Are we on track?
Yeah, this is much faster than I'm used to. Gee whiskers.
Should I give you a few minutes to catch up?
No, because maybe I'm just slower than everybody else, but I'll get there.
I'm stuck, so we're all good whenever Eunice is ready.
Thanks, Jenny.
No problems.
We're going to take out our fussy cut frame. And we're going to take this out. I fussy cut this as well from the sheet of the animals. I want us to stick this first because I don't want it. I mean, you could do it afterwards, but I like that little curly piece of the frame to show. So I want you to stick this on top of here. If you have a look, I have just stuck it on top here. It is a little bit bigger. And we're just going to follow the line of that text. So you can stick this little guy down. Just like that. Okay. Right, so now we're going to stick this frame down. Now, we are going to trim it here so we don't cover our border strip with words, the printed border strip. And I want you to just put it on your layout. It really is going to depend on how much you've cut. You just want it to fit. It's going to go over onto the second page. You don't want it to go over these words. So just position it, have a look at your layout, what works. And we'll just start with one side. We'll put a little bit of glue on because it's easy to lift and add. So I'm just going to do a little bit along the top here. And position it first before sticking the whole thing down. And then we can't move it. I love this little curly frame, Dennis. Okay, just like that. I'm going to stick the top part down. Okay, and I'm quite happy with that. So now I'm going to just add some more glue to these parts. And over here, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut it where it reaches the quote. And then again at the bottom. Just so that we don't cover the words of that quote border strip. I find sort of just piecing it like this is the easiest way to get it in place than to stick the whole thing down and then not have it fit. It's easy to just trim a piece if it doesn't work. Okay, so now it should be stuck to our left page, and we can just take either our craft knife or our scissors and we can cut those two little bits and stick them onto our right-hand side page. Put glue on that last piece. Line up the pages again, that we make sure it balances left and right, that the joins meet up. And we can stick it down. Okay, it's easy to just go back and pop little bits of glue underneath pieces that might be flapping. Okay, is everybody there?
Almost.
Almost.
Sticking the right-hand side piece on. Looks amazing.
Okay, in the meantime, for those that are ready, we're going to stick this onto this blue piece and then just trim the little corners so that this blue is really just a mat, and you can actually even just nip the corners off. And then you can trim any edges afterwards that might be sticking out. So let's glue that frame onto there. Again, I'm just going to use a little bit of the Tombow.
Dennis, do you have that piece cut out, that frame?
Dennis had his fussy cutting done a while ago already. Very impressed.
So Juliet, I cut out all the frames except that one, and I said to Jenny before the class, I said, I didn't see it on the layout. I didn't look closely, but I didn't see it on the layout. I'm sure she didn't use that one frame. So that's what Jenny's.
Oh, so that's why she's poking you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm quickly cutting it.
Well, I'm snickering at you, yes.
Okay, and this little frame I'm going to put with a piece of foam tape. I love taking my foam tape and just adding little elements, raising them, give a little bit of dimension. It adds extra shadow. I know last time I did a class, Dennis asked me about the triangle foam tape. So I get them in these huge rolls, and then I cut them into quarters so that you don't have this big bulky roll to carry around. So I just find it much easier like this. So hence the funny shape. I like to be quite liberal with foam tape. I definitely don't just put in little corners because I don't want my frame to collapse. I want it to be nice and firm. So I'll rather use more than too much, rather too much than too little. So that it's nice, and then when it's on your page, it doesn't buckle in the middle. Okay, so we're going to stick this down. Has Dennis finished cutting it yet?
You carry on, Juliet.
Okay, and that's just going to go here. I'm going to overlap it slightly. I'm just going to put that little frame in over there. Now, obviously, that's to put a picture. If you want to put a photo in that fits underneath, you'll maybe just not glue your whole thing down completely. You'll leave it you'll just put a little bit of glue at the bottom so that you can tuck a photo. Otherwise, just put a little square photo in here, or do a little bit of journaling, or whatever works for you there. Okay, now I want to add some of the little fussy cut elements because I want to place them first so that we can line up where our photo mats are going to go so that we don't have to measure. That's normally the easiest. We're going to use this piece. We're going to use these little bunnies. We're going to use those, the mice. We're going to use those bunnies. And we've got a wreath like that. So these are the 4 pieces that you need right now. And I've also seen that there's one piece I haven't fussy cut this one either. So I'm with you, Dennis. I'm going to quickly cut this one. We also need, I hadn't cut mine out for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to just quickly do that. Right. So those are the pieces we're going to use right now. And this one as well. Okay, so with the exception of those 2, all of these we're going to raise with foam tape. We're going to put all of those on 3D tape. So here and there you just have to cut little blocks for the corners and the ears, but we're going to prepare all of these. Yeah, you want to try and make sure that this, you don't need to do the little tails and that, but you want to make sure that all the delicate bits, where possible, have a little bit of support behind them. Okay, I'm going to give you another minute or so just to get your foam tape on your fussy cut items.
Juliet, can you just turn them over so I can,
Sure.
Sorry, I was a bit behind, just so I see what they are. Thank you.
Got the mice, bunnies, all bunnies, and the love frame. Okay, so we're just going, those are still busy. We're just putting foam tape on those. Those two don't need foam tape. Okay, should we go ahead and start placing these on our layout? We're also going to need this little flower. This is another little fussy cut one. And we're going to need that one as well. I'm just going to get all the pieces out that we're going to use right now. Okay, so these ones again, we've got foam tape on those. These are the ones that we're going to use as is. You can just get all of those ready because some of them tuck underneath each other, so we need to just have everything prepared.
Juliet?
Yes.
Go get yourself a glass of water.
I have water here, thanks, I'm okay. Why do I sound croaky?
No,
you need some time.
It's like the first time I'm cutting foam tape, and this, like, wow, this stuff is a pain in the butt. Yeah, it's so sticky.
Is it white? Has it got a white protective layer or a blue layer?
The foam tape.
Or is it the red one like this?
The red one.
Yeah, that's also about the scissors you use. You need a very, very sharp scissors for foam tape because otherwise it gets very gooey.
But I'm almost there.
No, that's fine. Then we'll give everyone a little bit more time. Just going to show you again or show you the layout just so you can see where we're going to place some of these elements, just for those that are waiting. So these are the little pieces we need now. We've used this one too. So just to recap, you can get these fussy cut elements ready. They are going to be stuck flat. These 4 pieces here, I've raised them all with foam. So they're going to have a little bit of dimension.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start sticking, but I'm gonna go slowly because it also takes quite a bit of effort to peel the foam tape off. Let's start with this set, these little bunnies here. Because peeling this tape off is also not the easiest thing. Okay, I want you to have this piece handy. Okay, and before we turn this upside down, I want you just to put a little bit of glue under this part. We're not going to glue the whole thing yet. Okay, just a little bit like that. So we're going to position this first. This one's going to go, we're on the second page, the right-hand page, should I say, and this little guy's going to go just along here, but I want to just tuck that underneath the top part over there. Okay, I have not stuck glue on this side yet because now we can use this as a marker to position our photo mats. Okay, because we want it just tucked a little bit underneath there. Right, so we can put glue or tape on these two photo mats. I find it sometimes easier to use the other elements as the measuring thing instead of saying so many centimeters from the right, so many centimeters from the left. Right, so we're going to stick that just underneath there, more or less centered top and bottom. And the other piece right next to it. Sort of 0.5 centimeter gap between them. Okay, now if you want to, you can go ahead and add more glue to this. I prefer to leave this a little bit unstuck until you've placed your photo, because if you stick that down and you want to put a photo here, then you're going to have a problem lifting it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more in the middle, but always leave that to tuck your photo underneath once you do your photos. Okay, and then this little guy, I'm just going to glue over here. I've glued it on flat. You don't need foam tape. And we're just going to add that like that. Again, don't put too much glue on the back so that you can still tuck your photo underneath. Right, we've got these two cute little rabbits looking at each other. I'm going to peel off the tape. So even though these images were already on our background page, I've landed up sticking things over them. So we're going to just shadow the same images over each other. Create a bit of a 3D layer. And I like to offset them a little bit. I don't stick it directly over because I almost want you to see that it's shadowed, but you can stick it however you like. You can just see there's a little bit of the other guy showing his nose there, and you can stick that down. See, it gives nice dimension. Okay, and the next one is this one. Notice how I often stick these down with Tombow because I can move them around, I can position them, and I can still tuck little pieces underneath. Sometimes you decide afterwards to add a little flower or a leaf or another fussy cut item, and then you've got a little bit of space to work with. The leaf, I'm also doing the same. And I'm just going to tuck it underneath, just so that it sticks out a little bit like that and overlaps slightly onto the frame. Then this piece as well. We're just going to pop him at the bottom there. Okay, that's what we're doing for now on the right-hand page. We're going to move to the left-hand page. We've got one or two extra elements that we're going to use here. We're going to use that So Happy Together. And we're also going to use these guys, which we also need to put foam tape on. So this fussy cut element, we're going to put foam tape on the back. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, if you are ready, we can just put tape on the back of these or just prepare them to stick down. Our last two photo mats. Okay, are we ready to go? So the first piece we're going to do is this. I have stuck a little leaf sort of half underneath it. So if we peel back our foam tape here, we can just stick the leaf on like that, and then we can stick it down. Don't need to put glue on here yet because it's going to go over the foam tape, over your photo mat. So we don't want to stick that down until we've got our photo mat in place. And then we're using that again as a guide to stick down our two photo mats, the same as we did on that day. Yeah, sort of just a little gap between them. And then these little mice are going to go here. They were raised with foam tape, so we can stick that down. So cute. Okay. Everybody following to this point?
All good here. Thank you.
Okay, so let's stick this one down. It's going to go on the top left corner. And our 3D'd bunnies, we're going to just overlap over there. We're going to offset them slightly. The nice thing with Celebr8 paper, it being nice and thick, is that when you do have little delicates like this and you've got to fussy cut them, they really do hold nicely together. The paper's not so thin, so it falls apart. Okay, I'm going to just sand a little on that edge here of that fussy cut. And we're going to position these, like I say, over that with a slight offset. Like that. Okay, I think I want to prepare the chipboards quickly. We're going to do the chipboards and place those, and then we can add our last few little finishing touches. This is the basis. So we're going to take out our chipboard packs. We're going to need this one, and we're going to need this one. I like to keep my packaging handy because I use it to ink on. And for this particular one, we're only going to use this one, Hugs and Kisses. So you can carefully snip. This title out of the frame. Okay, now these, some of them are really delicate. This is a delicate one. So just put it on your board. And you can see it nicely. We're also going to use this little XOXO. Both of them. There's another one here. Okay. And on this one, we're going to use these 2 corner pieces. You can snip those out. Be careful not to snip through. We do need one of the frames. You actually need both of the frames, so don't cut through the frames. I love to use the little frames as extra photo mats, so don't cut through them. We're going to use them on the second layout. You can also use a craft knife to do this if you prefer. I like just using a scissors. Quick and easy. Okay, I'm also going to use this little corner piece. I love these sort of, I call them little texture elements. Let's just do it this way so you can see them. They just add such nice detail, nice finishing touches to your layout. So you can put this aside. We're going to not use that anymore. We'll use that on the second layout. So this is what we're going to be working with right now. Right, so in terms of the inks that we're going to use to prepare our chipboards, I'm going to show you what I've used. Please feel free to use any inks that you have in your stash. I'm a huge fan of the Versamark, the Versamagic chalk inks. They're just super easy to use. They're fairly readily available, and they're just quick, easy, inexpensive. If you have oxides, you can use any matching colors that match with this. If you want to bring in touches of the green, little bits of the gray, you can really use any colors that work for you. The colors I have used on this particular layout is I always use a white. I prepare the base of my chipboard in a white, because if you want to mix your 2 colors together, the white gives you a little bit of a base to work on. I've used a white, I've used a light blue. This particular one is Sea Breeze. I've actually used Aspen Mist on the layout, but mine is dry and I didn't have a replacement. So I'm just going to use another one that's very similar. And I have used a color called Pumpkin Spice. And I've even used a little bit of Sahara Sand. It's like a brown, and this one has got that little bit of orange. So anything that works for you in these sort of colors in your stash, any inks that you have, you can use to color your chipboard. Okay, so what I've done here, I've done a little bit of an ombre. I've done the blue on top and the sort of orangey brown mix at the bottom. And the same for the 2 little XO words. As for the mesh, very simple. I've just given it a coat of white. It just didn't even need color, because I think it stands out nicely like that. And I've done both of those just in white, as well as that little corner element there. So very simply, those we're going to do in the white, and these we're going to do like this. Okay, now my white is also very dry. So it just needs a little bit of a layer, just to take. Sometimes with laser you get a little bit of laser burn. Celebr8's chipboard is extremely clean. It's so well cut, so even the back is not even burnt. Some laser cuts get very dark at the back. Celebr8's always fantastic quality, so you don't even need to do much. It's just to take that little touch of yellow out, and easy peasy. Okay, so I'm going to go and put white all over. I'm pushing quite hard because I say my chalk is quite dry already, but it still has life, as you can see. And I'm just going to do a little bit of white over everything. Just a nice layer, because I want it to be a little bit wet. The chipboard can be quite absorbent on its own, which is why I guess this is like those that do the mixed media. This is like my gesso, like the primer. Okay. Right. So all I do now is I'm going to take my blue. I do this very lightly, dab it straight on, like that, and then use my finger. You can use a blending brush or a tool or a foam thing if you like, to just soften the color. Like that, so that it's not too dark, not too hard, and literally just with the finger. Enter alcohol wipes again, or a wet wipe, the perfect thing just to wipe any ink off basically everywhere. Okay, once I've done the one side, I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to use my orange now. Well, pumpkin spice it's called. This is such a lovely color. It's kind of like it's an orangey brown, but it's a great color, very versatile. Just dab it lightly, and it doesn't matter if you go over the middle a little bit, because your white's going to help you mix the colors. And just use your finger again to blend the two so that you don't have such a hard line between the two. And I'm using Sahara sand, a little bit of a browner thing right on the bottoms, just to make it a little bit darker. And you can layer these as well. If you find that it's too light or too dark, if it's too dark, you could just add a little bit of white again. Just do it until you're happy with it, basically. Okay, so I'm going to add just a touch more blue to the top. Just remember, if you're working quickly and you don't let the layers dry, the ink can transfer onto your ink pad. So then if now, for example, if I want to put some more blue on here, I've got to be careful not to get brown all over my blue ink pad. In that way, sometimes it's better just to dab it on your finger or on a blending brush. So then you don't actually transfer the ink onto your ink pad. So I just want this blue to be a little bit darker. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Put it on our layout and you can see it stands out quite nicely. I have used Stickles. This is probably one of my favorite things ever in the scrapbooking industry is Stickles. And for those that have never used it before, you need to get your hands on some. It is a glitter. It's not even a glitter glue. It's basically a liquid glitter that dries completely flat, and it is just amazing. I use it to accent so many things. You can't even really see it possibly on here, but I've added Stickles in the middle here. Just gives you that little bit of extra sparkle shine. It does, however, take quite a bit of time to dry. So I'm not going to recommend we do it now. We can do it right at the end. I'm not going to do it now because then we're not going to be able to stick it down. But afterwards, just go back and you can then add Stickles to little details. It's got a very fine little tip. You can just add details all over your layout. And when it dries, it's not chunky, it settles and it's flat. And it just adds that little extra bit of sparkle. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with those two. So put a little bit of blue on the top. And a little bit of the other colors on the bottom. And blend them. Much in the same way we've just done the big word. Okay, the chalks do dry nice and quickly. Just clean my hands. The chalks dry really nice and quickly, so they're pretty much able to be used immediately on your layout. Don't, however, put things on top of them because they will transfer for a little bit, but they're not really, it's not such a wet ink that it's going to mark your page. So once you put it down, you could just not, as long as you don't put something on top of it for a while, we can already add glue to it. We don't need to wait. Okay, so now we're going to add our chipboard pieces. You can always touch up afterwards as well once you've put it on your layout. Okay, so these pieces these are just little borders. I'm going to just put them here. So before we do that, we've got 1 or 2 more fussy cut pieces. One of these little these 2 little XOs, we just need to stick those down first. I'm going to put 1 on this page, just underneath there, and 1 on the right-hand page, just underneath that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stick this down now. If you, again, want to put your photo first, just put some glue along the bottom, and you can always put a little bit of extra adhesive on once you've put your photo. So I'm not going to smother this in glue. We're just going to do little bits. But it is dainty, so you do want to make sure that the bottom is stuck down nicely so that your pieces don't lift up. Okay, I'm going to put that in that gap over here, like that. And I'm going to, a little corner. This one's going to go on the top, on the left page, just underneath the XO. And the other one we're going to put on the right-hand side there. See how quick and easy these chipboards are to prepare with the chalks. They really, really go quickly. You don't need to spend hours preparing your chipboards and gesso and layers, and just a little bit of ink and you're good to go. Okay, and then these 2, again, be careful how much you stick them down. If you don't want to not be able to put your photo down, I've just done a little touch there, and the second one on this first page at the bottom. And this last little piece, it's almost just like a photo corner. I've just put over there. So one of the key principles in I don't want to call it design, but I think in scrapbooking is if you use something once on your page, just use it again somewhere else. Repetition is what brings everything together. So if you're going to stick one of these down, you want to make sure that you have another one somewhere, and preferably, you know, either in your thirds or on different pages, so that you tie all your elements together. Because if you have one, it's kind of lost. But now we've used 3 of them, and it just creates that balance of reusing our elements more than once. Okay, and we did the same with repeating the colors. Right, so that's our chipboards. We've got really all we've got left now is our finishing touches, the last little bit of fussy cut elements. And then our layout number 1 is done. So let's just put these last few little pieces together. I have raised this on foam tape. I think we're just going to pop him there. Once again, don't peel the tape off on the bottom part for your photo. And now it really is just about finishing touches. I'm going to add him over there in the middle. And let's do a few little word strips here. These little bits you can add as you'd like, wherever you feel it just needs a little extra touch. Done a little word strip on these the bunnies here. And of course we have our gorgeous little dome stickers. We can use a couple of those. Put that up there. Let's add a dome sticker to that. I think that works. And on that one page with all the animals, there were these cute little hearts. Let's add a couple of those. Okay. So these finishing touches, you can really add as much or as little as you like. I do believe that it's the little finishes that make it. Once you've got your structure in place, you can keep adding until you're happy. If you think it's too much, you can leave all the little bits off. But personally, I love all the little details. So this one I'm going to put here, but because this is raised, I'm going to add a little piece of foam tape underneath it there to keep it stable. Just on that half. Okay, like that. Add another little one over there. Here's where you can keep going as much or as little as you like. We'll just add one or two. Little heart there. And a heart there. And this little leaf, I think I just tucked over here, just to add a little finishing touch there. So also, if you look at the layout of the, or the spacing or the placing, should I say, of all these little leaves, you can see that they're sort of repeated randomly across it, so it brings it all together, and then all your colors work together. Okay, I've got my last little hugs and kisses here. I'll put it in that little gap. And that's pretty much us done. I'm going to quickly show you how I do the stickles, and then your layout is finished. Okay, so just adding it. I've actually just put it sort of in the middle. I'm going to hold it up now, and you'll see while it's wet that it will stand out more. It's almost like a little pen. You can just draw it on. And again, you can just touch it a little bit with your fingers if you find that it's too chunky, or just shift it around with the nib. See if you can see over there. Just going to add just a little bit of sparkle. Now, I also like to do this. I like to add little accents too, and you can actually just scribble it onto some of the leaves, just to add a little bit of glitter. You don't even need to overthink this. You don't need to follow the lines perfectly. You can just add touches. I'm going to add touches to all these little glitter leaves.
Juliet, I will say, we get your physical layouts this side, and what you're doing now, it's not really visible on the camera, but on your layouts, it's really stunning.
It's the finishing touches that really just make it special. That little bit of sparkle, like you say, it doesn't show well on the camera, but it really does make a difference to your layout. And that's us done. one layout done.
Awesome. Sure. Well done. Thank you.
Okay. So does everyone want to have a coffee break or something?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think
and then you can hit layout number 2, which we've done all the cutting for already. So
awesome. Thank you.
Almost there.
Yeah, that was enjoyable. I think I'm going to just pause at our side so we can go and have coffee. And if you're watching this at home, maybe hit the spacebar key and yeah, go and get something to drink. Thanks, Juliet.
Great. Pleasure.
Okay, welcome back. Thanks, Juliet. That was a good cup of coffee and a good first layout. Ready for the next one.
Great. We're ready to go.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is our second layout that we're doing. Like I said, I call it the pink one. We're using more of the softer shades with the salmons and these little hedgehogs and the foxes. And let's get going. We've already cut everything in the first round. So as long as you've got your fussy cuts ready, we can get our pages together and let's get started. Right, so here's all the pieces. Dennis, I'm sorry, there's another scallop strip here to cut. Fortunately, it's only one, so we do need to cut this one. But let's get everything together. There's not that many elements for this one. Here's the random heart line here. There's not that many elements for this one, or not that many pieces compared to the previous layout, so it shouldn't be too tricky. This one is very simple in terms of its background because those 2 pages are literally making our background page. And as you can see, they fit perfectly together. It's got the shading all the way around, and that's all we need for our very, very simple background page. Okay, so we can just get those together. You can put that aside. And these are the other pieces that we're going to use now. This is a photo mat, so we can keep that aside. We're going to use this piece and these 2 large pieces and our scallop border strip. I see now we also have a quote strip here that we didn't cut. So let me just grab that one. It is this quote strip. However long a hug lasts, it doesn't last long enough. Let me just pull that one out quickly. If I remember correctly, I think that one was on the cover sheet.
Yeah, Juliet, was the back of the cover.
So the back of the cover sheet, that quote strip we also need. You can just get that out of your offcuts, or when you did your fussy cutting, just pull that quote sheet out, that quote border strip out for us. And then we have all the pieces that we need. I'm just trying to find mine. I can just cut this one. Okay, so we can go ahead and just cut this scallop strips along as well. And I'll just give you a few minutes to do that. And then all our elements are prepared. And then we're going to start assembling. It's this sort of this 7701 hug. That's the scallop strip we're cutting out right now.
Juliet, you'll be happy to, no, I don't want to give too much away, but we are busy working with our printers on getting a couple of quotes together for dies. So it won't take away all the fussy cutting, but we're hoping to actually get a die together that, you know, maybe can do the basic, like the scallops and that sort of stuff.
Oh, fabulous. Wow.
Yeah, so we'll still keep some things on the fussy cutting, but try.
Yes, of course, because every,
amount.
You know, every collection has different elements. So
Yeah.
you can't make a die for each collection, but some of your standard elements you could possibly do. Like you say, like some of the, you know, tags or circles or scallops. I'm sure many people will be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Shame, yeah, there's a couple of people. We've had somebody contact us and say they love it, but they've got arthritis and they can only do so much.
Yes.
So
Yeah, shame. So without giving anything away, I've seen the new Celebr8 collection that will come at the end of August. It is absolutely beautiful. So Dennis, you just keep on coming.
yeah, no, actually quite excited for that one. It's printed really, really nicely.
It's absolutely beautiful. It really, really is, as they all are.
Quite often you have something in your head, but it doesn't always transpire that way in print.
I can imagine. And coming up with something new all the time is not easy.
No. But then sometimes like this collection, you know, you find these really cute artworks and you're like, okay.
And it just works, yes.
How are you going to do this justice? But I mean, they're just so cute. Yeah,
it's adorable. Like I said, it's such a feel-good range, such a happy range. It just makes you feel all warm and googly inside. So it is really lovely.
Awesome.
All right, so I think what we're going to start doing now is we're going to get all the messy work. We've got the cutting out the way. Let's get the sanding out the way, and then we are ready to rumble. So you can take out your sanding blocks again. I'm going to show you exactly what needs to be sanded. You don't need to do your 2 background pieces. It's very easy to just go around afterwards, so you don't need to do anything on that. You do not need to sand these 2. That's going to be cut, and that's going to have a frame around it, so you can put that aside. So these are the pieces that you need to sand. Those 2 frames, that piece, this piece you do not need to sand, because again, we're going to put a big frame around it. That piece, your border strip, and that strip. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces and a border strip. Those are the only ones that you need to sand. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that done. We just have a cable here in the way. Okay, so again, those who maybe haven't seen from the earlier class, we're going to just sand on the edges of our cutting mats like this. Just to expose the white core of the paper, and we're going to do that for all these pieces here in front of us. Get all the messy work out the way, then you can dust off your workspace and we'll start sticking down. Sorry, I've said this one, you actually don't need to sand this one either, because this one also has a frame around it. Okay. Got all my pieces ready.
Juliet, while people are sanding, one of the things we noticed in your store when we were there a few months ago was you make and sell a lot of pre-made mini albums, the blanks themselves.
Yes, I do. So I love, as much as I love doing layouts, I equally love making mini albums. So yeah, and I do a different one every month, sort of in a kit form, but I also make the blanks. So there's a lot of people that want to do the mini albums, but it's quite finicky work. You know, all the flaps and folds, and you know, even doing your concertina spine, it's quite precise work. So there's a lot of people that don't really want to do that. So I make it easy for them, and I spend many hours pre-making them. But yeah, they're very popular, and mini albums are really very, very trendy at the moment. So a lot of people love doing them, and it's just a great way to use a whole paper pack and then some.
Yeah. Was there any sort of trend in the industry that's come and gone that you're really grateful left?
I don't know. I think things start making a comeback, you know, like I mean, even a simple thing like eyelets. I mean, I've been scrapbooking for 20 plus years. And I mean, 20 years ago, we used eyelets on everything. And then eyelets disappeared for ages and we just didn't use them. And now it's such a simple thing, but they're so amazing to use again. And I use them on tags and things like that all the time. So it's not always about, you know, the techniques come and go, but the techniques also stay the same. There's, you know, we get different varieties in terms of colors and styles. And I think what I love about scrapbooking and why I think why scrapbooking is still relevant after all these years is because it goes along with the trends. So where there are worldwide trends in color, in fashion, in decor, the scrapbooking industry follows that. So it's not a fad hobby that fades, because it keeps changing. And I think that's why it stays so relevant and so popular, because there's always something new and fresh.
But
yeah, I can't really think of anything specific that's come and gone.
There was a craze a little while ago with scrapbooking itself. I know it went off the page, but where everything had like gesso and texture based, and
so
which I know some people enjoyed, and then others really couldn't stand it.
And then others not so much. And I think that's also what's so great about this industry, each to their own. You know, there's something for everyone. And the way I think where we are right now is you can actually do both, and you can incorporate both, and you can find your level of it. Now, personally, I've always said I'm a paper crafter. I don't love getting my hands dirty. A little bit of inking here and there. I do a touch of embossing. You know, I'll rub my fingers in chalk and that. But I don't like. I love paper. My first love is pattern paper, and so for me, why do I want to create my own paper when I can just use all the thousands of pretty sheets that are here? So that's me personally. And for other people, you know, you do what works for you. But I think it's so awesome that we can do both. You can do a scrapbook layout, you can add your mixed media elements, and you can still do your inking and your spraying and your spritzing, your stenciling and texture paste. And I love stenciling and all those things, but to a certain extent. So you find what works for you, and you do you. And I think that's the versatility in the industry is fabulous. Okay, so if everybody's finished the sanding, I think let's get all our adhesive done. And all of these pieces that I have in front of me now, we can put tape on the back, not the backgrounds. Let me move these out of the frame. And we're going to put tape on all of those pieces. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the border strip. So let's prep that, and then it will make sticking it down quicker as well. So as Dennis mentioned in the beginning, we obviously are pre-recording this, but when it is broadcast on Saturday, we'll be available for questions and comments and things like that. So yeah, you can just ask if you're not sure of something, or if you need something to be explained properly. We can do that on Saturday.
Yeah, the last class went so well because of load shedding. It was the reason we did it. But we thought it actually makes more sense for the teacher to be available to answer questions. So this pre-recording definitely does, I think, help make the class run smoother on the.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what just happened there? Dennis, I think just pause for a sec. Okay, so let's go ahead and start sticking our page down. All right, so we're going to, let's put all these pieces the right way. We're going to start with our text strips. See, now I haven't sanded the one side. All right, so the smaller text strip, we're going to stick to the left page. We're going to put it roughly 4 or so centimeters from the top. And we're just going to stick that to the edge like that. And then we're going to take this large heart strip. And we are going to stick this onto the second page. It literally goes from top to bottom, leaving a little bit on the left-hand side. And we're going to stick that down like that. And then our last, the long text strip. We're going to put along the bottom. Like that. Nice and simple. All right, now we have this big frame that we fussy cut from the frame sheet, and we have this piece of paper. All right, so what we're going to do now is basically stick this frame to here. We've cut it the exact size so that it fits inside the frame, but obviously you've got all these little bits that we need to cut away. So for me, the easiest thing is just to put a thin line of glue on the inside of the frame, actually stick it to the paper, and then just use your scissors to randomly cut out these little pieces, because we want to be left with the frame like that, with the floral paper inside the contours of the frame. Okay, so if you don't use too much glue and you just do a thin line on the inside, you'll still be able to cut it from the outside. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. I'm just using a little bit of Tombow like this. So we're gluing the squiggly frame onto the floral piece. And now I'm going to use my scissors. You can use a craft knife if you prefer, but I'm just going to get underneath there and just cut out. I'm going to choose a thinner scissors and just get underneath these pieces, just so that you don't have any of the floral showing around it. And we're going to do that all the way around the frame. You do it immediately while your glue is still wet, then the frame can move a little bit and it's actually a little bit easier to do. You can use a craft knife if you find it easier to just cut along the lines. It doesn't really matter what it looks like at the back because it's going to be stuck down. And that's what we're going to be left with. It's going to give you another minute or so to get that done. Right. Okay, so now we can place tape, or we can all across the back. You can get this ready to stick down. Okay, before we stick it down, I want to place the photo mats. Now, if you look at the layout, I have cut through just that little bit of the photo mat. So if you don't like doing that, you can just cut the photo mat smaller and mat a smaller photo. But for me, it's not going to go over anything important in the photo, and it just gives continuation across the 2 pages. So I've stuck the photo mat there and then cut it through. So we're going to do that first. We're going to get that, position our photo mats on here, and then we're going to guillotine it so that we don't have to cut the photo mats afterwards. All right, so we're going to just adhere these 2 photo mats down. And they are just more or less going to be placed like that. And the other one just below it. Okay. Right. We're going to need our guillotines again now. But what I want you to do is just position it on the layout first so that you can see exactly where you're going to cut it. And I'm going to make a little gap like that so you can see between the two pages. I have positioned it more or less like that, that the page fits just between, or the joins of the pages fits just between those two squiggles. Okay, so use a piercer or a pen or something and just make a little mark, top or bottom, so that we can put it, because it's not a straight edge, it's a little more tricky to put through the guillotine. Now we can actually cut right through. I'm going to line up my pen marks, pencil it should be. And just cut right through. Nice straight cut. Now I'm ready to adhere those two pieces to the layout. Okay, now there are one or two, in fact, let's glue that little element on first. I want you to take this fussy cut. It's the mirror image, well, it's the same image as that, but we're going to put that on this side. And I just want us to stick that down first because the scallop of the frame is going to go just over that. So let's put this fussy cut down. Okay, never mind about the straight edge there because it is going to be underneath the frame. And we're just going to put him a little bit like that. Okay, now we can stick this down and everything else can be added afterwards. So let's adhere our big frame down. We just want it basically centered top and bottom against the middle edge. Okay. Might just add a little glue here because there's not much tape on it. Right, so line up the page and stick our frame down like that. Okay, don't worry about those pieces. We can always stick those little bits down properly afterwards. Okay, isn't that frame gorgeous? I love it with the floral in the inside. All right, so now I'm going to get us to move on to the chipboard next, because I want to use our chipboard elements. Some of them are going to be tucked underneath. So let's just put that aside for now. And let's go back to our chipboards that we have left over here. We are going to use this large piece, this large element. So we can go ahead and cut this out. And we are going to save this frame. So you can just cut these little joining pieces off because we want to use this frame. Okay, and I'm just going to cut these little pieces off too. Right, and then we're going to cut the elements off here loose as well. We're also going to use this frame, but keep the word love you on the frame. It is already attached, so you can just cut all the other elements loose. Right, and we're going to use basically all the rest of the chipboards. So you can just cut all the little joinings pieces off so that they are ready for us to ink. So cute. I love this one. Cutie pie. Okay, and the little hearts as well. We're going to use these. Okay, so there's all our chipboard elements. I'm going to take out the inks and the colors that we need. Right, so again, it's my usual white, and as I said, I use the white to do a base coat on the chipboard, because this one we're going to ombre a little bit, that it looks like that. You can see the two colors there. And then this color is called wheat, sort of a sandy color. We've got pixie dust. If you don't have pixie dust, you can use the petunia pink as well. It's a little bit darker. It also works really well. We've got the pumpkin spice that we used in the first layout. And then I've got one of the Brilliance inks. This one is called Starlite Black. It's one of my absolute favorites because there are no gray chalks in the Versa Magic range, but the Brilliance is a beautiful metallic charcoal color. So we're going to use that as well. Right, so those are the ink colors that we need. I'm going to use my plastic this time. Actually, it's out our backing sheets again, and we can use that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this chipboard in half. So I want to use half on the one page and I want to use half on the other page. But the way I've inked them, if you have a look here, that one's got the pink on top and that one's got the pink on the bottom. So instead of inking it all first, I'm just going to cut them and ink them separately. So the easiest thing to do here, you can chop it in your guillotine if you like. I'm just going to put it through my with my ruler and my craft knife. I'm going to see to just line up the dots. Just going to cut it through that, through the middle with a craft knife. There we go. Yeah. So we've got 2 half pieces. You'll see that there is a little heart. I'll show you closely. You'll see that there are some little hearts in between the circles. So just make sure you have the right piece on the right side so that your hearts don't land up upside down on your page. Right, so I'm going to start all of these pieces, these 4 small hearts and the 3 chipboard, those 3 chipboard words or sayings, the 4 hearts, we are going to ink with the gray, just plain gray, no ombre, no colors. We're just going to do all of those in the Starlite black. And then these 3 we're going to do in the pinks and the orange, and our 2 frames we're going to do with wheat. Okay, so those ones are very simple. These ones we're going to do the same as we did in the first layout, and we're going to do a little bit of an ombre effect. So let's start with those, and we will start again by just doing our base coat in white. As I said, the white is very important because the chipboard is absorbent. So if you just put your ink, your color straight on here, they're very difficult to blend. If you put a little bit of white on first, it gives you a surface on which you can blend the colors. Even a dry white works. Okay, so just apply the white nice. It doesn't matter if your white is a little bit dry, just try and get as much on. If it's wet, it's even better. Just try and get it nice and all over. Okay. Right, so for the one on the right hand, I'm going to do my pink on top. My pink is quite dry, so I'm going to add a little bit of pink petunia, which is a little bit of a darker color, just to, and you just dab it on, and you want it a little bit darker around the edges. This doesn't really need to be blended. You'll see this one is going to come out quite dark there because it's quite new. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to lighten it with my fingers. Okay, and I'm going to use the orange again at the, turn it around and do half there. Rub it again. Yeah, and that's what we're doing, and we're going to do exactly the same for the second one. This one is this way, and this time I'm going to do the pink at the bottom. A little bit of a darker pink. Right, I think I'm happy with that. Those are my 2 outside pieces, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this. I'm going to do the pink on top. A little bit of a darker pink on the top. So the color is a little bit richer. And I have my orange on the bottom. Pumpkin spice. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm happy with those. Those are all prepared. And now we can do all of these in the charcoal. This is quite simple. These chipboards are quite dainty, so just be careful that you don't drag it too much. Just dab it nicely. I'm hoping my ink plays along because it is very well used, so it is quite dry. So should be okay. Just going to make the whole word charcoal. It's a beautiful metallic color. If anybody has the Delicata inks, the Delicatas also work beautifully for that metallic look. I'm not sure if they've got a gray though, or a charcoal. You can see how dry my ink is on the big piece. So if any of you don't know this, obviously these become consumables and after a while you need to throw them away. But before I finish this, I want to quickly show you. So right at the top of these ink pads, if you look to the side, there's a thin little layer. I think mine have already been pulled off. But when it starts getting dry, you can actually just grab the tip of it and you can peel. It's a very thin, it's like 1 or 2 mils thick, the top layer of sponge off. And then it actually has still got a fresh sponge underneath that you can use quite a bit afterwards. So you don't have to throw them away immediately. First peel. I can't demonstrate on mine because I think I've peeled them all off already. But it definitely prolongs. In fact, I might be able to do it on the white. Look here. See, you can peel that layer of sponge right off, and then you've got a nice fresh ink pad again. So this only works with the Versa Magic ones. You can see how thin that layer is, and it just revives your ink for a little bit longer before you have to replace it. Nice tip if you didn't know that before. Okay, so let's just finish these few hearts. This tip has already been peeled off, so I can't do it with that one. Okay, so those are all done. And all that's left now is my frames. Let's get a fresh piece of plastic to work on. And my usual to clean my fingers. I don't want to get all these colors all over now. Right, and we're going to use wheat, and we're going to ink. Now, wheat is a lovely color. If you can just see the difference between what it was and now. It's really, really subtle, but it's just that little touch of color without it being too much. Sometimes the cream is just too cream, and the wheat just gives it that little warmer tone. You can see the difference between the two frames. Okay. You can also do the inside here of the frame if you like. I never worry about it too much, but if you use the wheat, it also hides the little snip marks from the scissors. So you can do that as well. Then I'm just going to add a little touch of the orange to the word love. over the wheat just to give it a little bit of color there. Right, that's all our chipboard items prepared. Okay, so let's put the small words aside for now. All of those ones that we did in the gray. We're going to work with our two frames now, and we are going to stick our frames to these pieces. So this one is going to go over here, and this one is going to go over here. Now the frames are pretty much the same size as the backing, so you've just got to be careful not to have glue oozing out everywhere, but we can do it on the layout, but I just find it's a little bit easier to have it done beforehand. This one might be a little tricky though, so I think we'll stick this one to the layout first and then we'll add the frame afterwards. Okay, so let's bring our layout back. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to position this for now. We're not going to stick it down yet. Let's just position where we want this to go. It's going to be more or less like that. Okay, and we want this chipboard piece just tucked slightly underneath before we stick it down. Okay, so just keep that in position and let's stick this chipboard piece down first so that our frame or our matting can go over the edge of it. So we're just going to add glue to this. Okay, now we can stick down our photo mat. And that's going to go just next to it over there. And the last thing to add here, we're going to stick that chipboard frame over the photo mat. Okay, so we're going to do that with some Tombow. If you would like to tuck a photo underneath and not have the photo with a frame around it or the matting, then you probably just going to put glue on the bottom or the one part of your frame so that you can tuck your photo on. You can tuck your photo in at a later stage. Right. Okay, we're going to do the same now with this, with our journal card, with our quote card. This one is going to go over here. It's going to have the frame over it. So we're just placing it for now. And we're going to use our other inked piece of chipboard along this side there. So we're going to do the same procedure. We're going to place that. We're going to stick that down first and then layer the other pieces on top. Okay, clamping. We're going to stick that down and then add the frame to the top. There we go. And we're going to add the frame. And that thin little chipboard frame just creates a nice dimensional layering to these two pieces. Right. Dennis, how are we doing? All good.
I'm with you. Yep. All
Fabulous.
good.
Okay. Right, now we're going to add over here, we're going to add our quote strip and our little scallop border strip, which we will trim to fit just inside this frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jimmy it and I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the middle so we don't have to measure. I'm going to just put it down like that. I'm going to do the same with my quote strip because we are going to have to cut it off for that page. So I've put double-sided tape on here, but I'm not going to peel it off the whole way. I'm just going to do that. I'm actually going to leave the piece of tape still on it so that I can position this quote nicely in the middle. Like that. Oopsie. Except when you stick it down there when you're not supposed to. Okay. And then I'm going to trim the edge here just next to the frame. Here we go. And I'm going to do the same here, except on this, we're going to cut it off for the next page. Line them up and join these two pieces again. And just trim it off. There we go. So we just want it to fit like it looks like it's coming out from underneath the frame. It's just fitting inside the borders of the frame. Okay. Right, now we're going to work with this beautiful wreath. I absolutely love. So we've again got a piece of paper that we've cut for this. That is going to be too big, but what we're going to do first is we're going to put foam tape on this wreath, and then we're going to stick it to the paper, and then we're just going to trim our corners. So here we don't need, you can go back and reinforce it later, but I'm just going to cut some strips like this and just put them all the way around. if you want to be precise and you want your foam tape everywhere, I'll show you how to curve foam tape. You basically cut slits in it, sort of 2/3 of the way through. Like that. And then I'll show you on a curved piece. And then as you're putting it down, you can literally move the tape into a curved position. So that's one way of doing it. I'm just doing the quick and easy way now. I'm just doing strips. Like that. So this I'm now going to stick onto this pink matting that we cut. Like that. And then we're going to trim the pieces afterwards, the corners. This foam tape clings. It is actually nice like this when it's one continuous piece, because then it just comes off like that, because it sticks to everything. Right, so I'm just popping that on top of this, on top of the pink piece, adhered with foam tape, and now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut those excess pieces away so that you don't see them. Like that. I'm going to do that in all the corners, anywhere on the outside that you can see the background. And there we are. Okay. Right. So if everybody's ready, then we're going to put glue on the back, and we're going to stick this to the right-hand page. Right, and this is just positioned in this little bit here. And you can stick that down. Now, if you want to afterwards go back and put small little pieces of foam tape under here, you can do that. I think it's fine, but if you want to reinforce it, really does depend if it's going to be in a frame or behind a plastic sleeve, or if it's going to be out in the open, because if it's left like this, then you might want to reinforce these little bits. Okay, and my absolutely favorite little piece is these darling foxes. I love them so much. We're going to put them there. Because this is raised with foam tape, we're just going to add a little bit of foam on this side. That part's already higher, just to reinforce it over there. basically just under here, and the tail. And you can add a little bit of glue to that part. And those cute little foxes are going to go here. Yeah, we don't want to put it over the middle because we don't want to cover the photo. That's going to go in the middle there. And there we are. Right, so while we're busy with our foam tape, let's do our other little fussy cuts. I'll show you the pieces that we need. We need these. We need those two. This one we're going to raise with foam tape again. Just the mouse, don't worry about the tail. And these two are going to go here. And once again, this already has foam tape, so this one we can stick down. It's already raised on the wreath, so we can just pop him like that. And this one, we're just going to put tape on the bottom part to reinforce it. There we go. Okay, so let's put our foam tape on here. Sweet little mice. We can peel the tape off. And this is going to go over here. I've again offset it slightly, so there's a bit of a shadow at the bottom. And the little tail you can just snip off at the end of the page. In fact, I think I snipped it off here. And just pretended his tail went off the page. Okay. Right, so all that's left now is our little chipboard pieces and some more of the fussy cuts, and then we're basically done. So we're busy with finishing touches. I'm going to place the little chipboards where I've put them, and then we can go ahead and stick those down. This one as well. I see another one that I'd forgotten to cut, so I'm going to snip it out quickly. And you can go ahead and stick those two little chipboards down on the layout salon where they've been placed. One up there. This one is very delicate, so we want to make sure we've got glue behind all these thin little letters, especially the eyes. There we go. Okay, and we've got this one. Thank you for constantly making me smile. Put this over here. And we're going to add So Happy Together here. Again, this is a very delicate piece, So you need to make sure that there's glue under all the small little bits so that they don't lift up. Okay. That there. All right. Let's bring out the rest of our little fussy cut bits and we can do all the embellishments. Right, these are the little word strips that I've chosen. You can choose any word strips that work for you, that might suit the photos that you're going to choose. Right, so hugs and kisses, I'm going to put here. I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape on either side because it's going over that frame. I'm just going to do 2 little blocks like that. I'm going to add a floral underneath it. Like that. Okay. This is always the fun part, is adding all the little bits and pieces, that all the finishing touches. I love doing this part. And then all the little blank spaces just get something that bring the layout to life. Let's add some of these hearts. Like that. Let's put a little word there. Add a little heart. I'll do this one here. Okay, my dome stickers, I want to use 1 or 2 of these. Let's put this, enjoy the little things. We're going to put that at the top of the wreath. I'm going to add these little guys here. Put a little heart next to it. I'm going to do this little floral here at the bottom to fill that little gap. Sometimes it's nice to group the embellishments or the fussy cut items together, not just use one. So make a little collage of them, group them together, layer the elements one on top of each other. Okay, let's add this word strip. Put that there. And then this little one I'm going to raise on foam tape. Make it stand out. Let's do a strip like that. Okay, you can see that also repeating the grays. So it brings all the colors together. Okay, then this little one, I'm going to add something up here because it's a little empty spot there for me. I like to fill the empty spots. So we're just going to add a little piece here. And we've got our inked word. So say these finishing touches, you can do as many or as little as you like. I haven't even used all the fussy cuts. If there's more that you'd like to add, you can. If you want to leave some out, you can do that as well. Right. It's just, we've got 2 more little hearts here. And we'll put them in this spot over here. And that is our layout done. I'm again going to use my Stickles to add some glitter. Oh, sorry, let's not forget. We need to add pretty little pink bows. That's the last piece. Right, so we're just going to make 2 little bows from this. You know, making a bow is not the easiest thing for some people, but the key is to start small, loose, or sorry, start bigger and then just pull it in smaller and smaller, tighter and tighter until you're happy with it. And just fluff out the bows, and we trim the edges. And we're going to do one there, and we're going to make another one for here. Just adds that nice soft touch. Right, so start it big, pull in a little bit tighter until we've got the right size. Okay, here we go. Right, so I'm going to put the one here and the one there. These are a little tricky to glue down, so when you put it down, you just need to leave it for a bit. Otherwise, if you have a glue dot, that's probably your best thing to glue it down. Or even something strong like a Bostik clear glue. The Tombow does work, it just needs a little bit of patience. Okay, and I'm going to add some Stickles. I don't know if you can see from here. If I hold it to the side, you can see the shimmer on all those leaves, and that is done with Stickles. The color that I've used is called Diamond. It has a little bit of like a warm tone to it. It is one of the clear colors. So you can see I've done it mostly on the leaves all around. So you can go ahead and do that as much or as little as you like, just to add those finishing touches. And that's basically our layout done. While you're finishing up, I'm just going to carry on adding my Stickles.
Juliet, this has been really fun.
You enjoyed it, Dennis?
Yeah, I've enjoyed this one. The other one was a challenge, keeping up.
The other one was, that's why I did that one first.
But this one's been fun. I've kept up, and it's looking pretty much like yours. I'm
well done. Well done. Yeah, it's always best to do the more challenging ones first and get it out the way because people get tired. Okay, just adding some sparkle. Every page can have a little sparkle, boy or girl, doesn't matter.
And I mean, you've actually still got so much left over, and one of them is perfect for a single layout base page. Which
There's loads of paper left over. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely do a single. You can make some cards, or my favorite, you can make some tags. So you've got lots of extra product. There's journal sheets, there's fussy cut elements, not journal sheet, yeah, the little journal quote cards. There's fussy cuts, there's word strips. So yes, there's lots that one can do to create.
Are we gonna ask Isabel to?
I think we're gonna ask everyone. Post us a picture of what you've done with the leftovers.
Awesome.
And let's see what all the creatives come up with.
Thank you, Juliet. This has been a lot of fun. These are really, really cute layouts.
Thank you, Dennis, for such a gorgeous range. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you for, it makes it easy to design with such beautiful papers.
Thanks, Juliet. Well, so this class obviously is pre-recorded, so we'll be there live with you on Saturday when this is airing. And if you've got any questions or comments for Juliet, anything you want to maybe just explain, use the WhatsApp group. If you're not part of the Celebr8 WhatsApp sort of group, we will post the link to that number on Facebook. So join it. We post what's coming, what's new. We open the group up for chatting during these classes. So we'll have fun on there. Juliet, again, thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome. Look forward to chatting with you all on Saturday, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay. Cheers, guys.
Great.
Enjoy the rest
Cheers,
of your
everyone.
Saturday. Cheers.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.